An FBI agent chasing a serial killer who's killing whole families without a struggle. Never break in, never leaves any evidence, and nobody ever saw him. The only thing he leaves behind are coded messages. Our agent Lee Harker is trying to catch him, but every time she is almost at the end, she falls in a deeper rabbit hole than before. And the case is getting more demonic and cursed any minute. Welcome to a recap of the movie Longlegs. Hope you enjoy and comment what movie I should recap next. Our movie starts with a little girl during a winter. Peeking out of the window, she sees somebody arrive in a car next to her house, but when she decides to go outside, nobody is there. Then suddenly a strange man appears and says that her birthday is almost here, and this is our intro. This movie is pretty confusing, so pay attention, my guy. We are moving the special agent Lee Harker, our main character. She is in an FBI briefing right now. They are following a lead to a killer, but they don't have any specific description, so they are split into teams of 2 and going door to door, asking about information. Our Lee gets a weird feeling that the killer is in this house. Her partner doesn't believe her because why would he? So he goes to knock on the house and ask, "Have you seen anything strange lately?" But he gets a brain massage with lead right away. Our Lee gets her gun ready and moves in. The killer is sitting on the bed already giving up. Lee is brought to questioning about the scene, where she also gets a weird set of exams. One of the tests is guessing random numbers between 1 and 100, and she gets 8 out of 12 tries right. That's where the FBI marks her as psychic. She is immediately moved and partner with William Carter, who is the high-ranking agent in the FBI hierarchy. He starts to introduce her to the Longlegs case. 10 families have been murdered in the last 20 years. All are identical. The father kills his family and then himself, leaving a coded message signed by Longlegs. Nobody has been able to figure out the code so far. There is no DNA tracks, no break-in, no fingerprints by Longlegs. It almost looks like he is not even there during the murders. The question is, how does he force and manipulate the father to slaughter his whole family? That's why Carter chose Lee to help him with the case. He believes in psychic power and hopes Lee can make a breakthrough. After a couple of hours of Lee studying details of each case, every detail of the murders is different, but also same. She falls asleep. Carter doesn't want her to overwork herself and invites her for a drink to clear her head and lose the stress a little bit. Lee doesn't drink, so she only gives Carter the information she's figured out so far, which is not much. Then she drives Carter back home. Here we can meet the Carter family, his wife Anna Carter and their daughter Ruby Carter. After dropping her boss, she is going back to her house. She is living in a cabin in the middle of the forest. After the shower, she is calling with her mother and looking at the cases again. But then she hears somebody outside her front door. Nobody is there, so she checks the window and sees somebody standing a couple of meters away from her house. She grabs a gun and goes to check it out. But now the mysterious person is in her house. She clears the house, but nobody is around. The only thing is a letter left on her desk with her name on it after she opens it up. She sees a birthday card and instructions on how to decode Longlegs' letter. It's a threat to tell the police how she got this card or her mother's going to get a visit. The next day, she is continuing to investigate, and from newspapers, she realizes it's maybe more about Satanism than just serial murders. The dates of murders are connected together and make a Satanistic symbol. After learning this information, she comes to Carter to tell him everything she figured out. She also mentioned that she decoded all of Longlegs' letters, and all of them pointing to the first murder on a certain farm 20 years ago. This murder is also special because one person survived. The youngest daughter is only alive because she came late from a school. They would like to ask her questions about the day, but she has been in a coma in a psychic hospital since then. Our agents decide to visit the farm anyway. During the search, they find a spot marked with a cross. Under the cross, they find a special doll. That is creepy as hell, with the same satanic symbol that appeared earlier. We are moving to the FBI lab. The doctor here has some information. The doll we see is crafted from porcelain She has a lot of small details and took approximately 100 hours to make. The person who made this is truly a master in his craft. The doctor also finds a metal ball inside the doll head. Nobody is sure why is there. The next scene is on an open road where we can meet our Longlegs. After a quick stop and creepy harassment of the gas station girl, we see him traveling somewhere. Moving back to our agents, they visit a psychiatric hospital where our only survival is located. From Psychic Principal, we learn that the girl had a visit yesterday, and all of a sudden she is not in a coma from yesterday. After seeing Lee's name in the Book of Visits, we can assume that our Longlegs was the person who visited the girl. We can see Lee having a talk with the girl. She starts to describe what happened on the day her family was slaughtered. The girl starts to explain that her parents got a gift from a church, the big ceramic doll, and from that day her parents were acting weirder and weirder every day, until the father completely snapped and killed her mother and sister. The girl doesn't say anything else, because she can't remember and she doesn't want to talk about the visit from yesterday at all. So Lee leaves with at least this information. Back at the Carter office, we can see them talk about the case, and Carter is really surprised how much progress they made since Lee joined him. For 20 years, this case was dead, but now they're moving pretty fast. So Carter read Lee's file once again, properly, and realized that her mom made a 911 call on her 9th birthday. Carter thinks Lee and her mom are somehow connected in this case. I also forgot to mention that all the murders committed by fathers happened on the day of their daughters' birthdays, and the days of murders form the satanic triangle we saw before. Lee decides to visit her mother and ask her what happened on her 9th birthday, because Lee can't remember the day at all. Her mother. Ruth Harker is mentally not in a good place, and Lee knows she needs to ask slowly and can't just burst questions on her. She decides to make her tea. In the kitchen, she notices a door that she cannot remember what is behind them at all. But before she can open them, Ruth calls her. The girls are having a chat for a little bit before asking the big question: what happened on Lee's 9th birthday? Ruth completely spaces out and pretending she can't remember because of her bad mental state. Lee knows she can't make her mom talk, so she goes through her old stuff and finds a bunch of pictures. Young Lee was carrying her camera everywhere, even on her birthday. And she finds a picture of Longlegs. All of a sudden, she remembers Longlegs and her mother talking on the day of her 9th birthday. Lee comes back to Carter and gives him the picture, and the FBI makes a manhunt for him. We can see our Longlegs waiting for the bus when the police arrest him. He is in the interrogation room, but he talks only bullshit. He demands to speak with Agent Lee, otherwise he is not going to talk at all. When Lee comes to the room, Longlegs is happier than ever. She starts to give him questions about how did he convince the fathers to kill their families, which he responds, "You're going to take the gift from the church and you'll kneel, or you're not going to accept the gift and you will suffer," which doesn't make sense yet. Then she gives him the regular questions like, what is his name, how old he is, what job was he doing during the last 20 years, you know, the regular police questions. The next question is if he had anybody to help him with the murders, and Longlegs replies, "Why don't you ask your mommy?" Then he starts to slam his head on the table until his face completely rips off and he dies. Carter is pissed off because their only suspect is missing half of his face and bleed out. Everybody heard what Longlegs said before he died, so they have to arrest her mother and bring her in for questioning. Lee and another FBI agent come to her house. Because it's her mother, Lee wants to be the one who's going to arrest her, so the other agent waits in the car. Lee is going through the house but can't find her mother, but we can see her with a loaded shotgun, double tapping the other agent. Lee saw everything from the window. She comes outside and sees her mother aiming at some child, but it's not a child, it's a doll that looks like a young Lee. She is arguing with her mother why she's doing all of this and why she was helping Longlegs with murders. The only thing her mother says is, I am always protecting you no matter what I need to do. Then she blows the head off the doll, and we can see some dark cloud leaving Lee's head. Lee passes out. The last thing she sees is the same metal ball inside the doll as she found in the doll in the farm. And now we are getting an explanation what happened from the beginning. At Lee's 9th birthday, local doll maker brought one of the dolls to the Ruth Harker. She didn't want to accept it because, let's be honest, who would accept a doll from PDF, the white as a ghost weird guy? Yeah, not me either. Because she didn't accept the gift, Longlegs sneaked into her house and tied her up with a rope. He explains to her that he is a Satan worshiper and the dolls are possessed by evil spirits. Exactly, the metal balls are possessed. And his job is to bring the dolls to the families and let them possess the fathers, making them kill their whole families, including themselves at the end. Ruth wanted to save her child, so she made a deal with Longlegs. She is going to deliver the dolls instead of him, which is actually a good idea because Longlegs looks like cow shit with 10 plastic surgeries. And Ruth is working at church, so it's much easier for the families to accept the gift from her instead of him. Longlegs still made a doll for Lee, and as I understand the movie, the doll and the evil spirit inside can control people around the doll, make them forget memories, and force them to kill their close ones. So that's how it is. That's why Lee couldn't remember her 9th birthday, and that's why she can't figure out where the door from the kitchen goes, which we're going to get soon. Ruth had been working for Longlegs for more than 20 years because she was scared he is going to make her kill Lee. Moving back to Lee, she wakes up in a Longlegs workshop. That's where he made all his dolls during the 20 years of his murders. But surprise, it's the kitchen door in Ruth's house. Lee calls Carter because his daughter is celebrating her 9th birthday today, by the way, and Ruth is on the way to give them a special gift. Lee finds a Longlegs car in the barn and starts to drive towards Carter's house. She arrives and starts to bang on Carter's doors. He opens the door with a big smile on his face and invites her inside. In the living room is already Ruth, small Ruby, and her brand new doll. Lee starts to convince Carter that the doll is possessed and her mother was working with the Longlegs the whole time, but he is fully under control of the doll. And now Carter and his wife are moving to the kitchen. To do the thing, what are we expecting? Kill his wife. Lee grabs Ruby and puts her behind her. Carter comes back to the living room armed with a knife and full of blood. She aims her gun at him and shoots him down. Ruth doesn't like it and charges Lee with a knife as well. Lee is forced to kill her own mother. Completely shocked, Lee takes Ruby away again and is ready to shoot the doll in the head, but her gun is jamming every time she pulls the trigger. We can only see Longlegs laughing. Even though he is dead, he won. This was the movie Longlegs. There were a lot of plot holes in the story and some weird decisions from our characters. Like the Carter, knowing all the families died when the daughters were celebrating 9th birthdays, completely didn't care when their suspect Ruth brought a doll that was similar to the doll they found in a farm before. And why didn't Lee try to shoot the doll before Carter killed his wife? Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this movie, and I will see you next time.